Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football, presented by FanDuel. I am Matt Green over here. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you feeling?
Doing all right, man. Definitely still dealing with the shock and the heartbreak from Georgia's recent Sugar Bowl loss to Ole Miss, but can't complain, man. The sun still came up, and we're doing fine. So can't complain, man. How about you?
I hear you there, man. It really does just suck. Just all my usual, podcasts and different things I listen to after college football weekends. You're just like, I don't really want to hear what any of these people have to say right now. But not you folks. We're commiserating with you, so tune into us. We're the good guys. But yeah, it is just a bummer. I think this is why this loss kind of sits there with the 2023 Alabama SEC championship loss, to where I was just so surprised. Like I feel like I was giving. Obviously, I predicted a big score line, but we were giving Ole Miss kind of their due respect. We didn't think they were just some team that didn't belong in the playoff or anything. But it just seemed like this Georgia team was hitting their stride at the right time. I just wasn't ready for Georgia's season to end after the 14th game. But here we are. I think that's maybe it for me. That just one of the more surprising kind of season-ending losses I can remember.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it too. Is like just the general feeling of like that's it. Like we spent all this time talking about how they were peaking at the right time and doing everything right, playing their best football at the perfect time, and then they just went out there and lost, man. And that's the way it is sometimes. That's how life is, how sports are, how everything is. But yeah, I would say it definitely does. Just the gut punch of the surprise is what lingers more than anything else, because at least with the 2023 loss, like I still think that's probably maybe a worse loss. You could have them up there 1A, 1B if you wanted to. But the thing about that one was, at least then the high of back-to-back national championships was still right there.
Yeah.
The feeling went back when Georgia had lost was, well, we've still won the last two. We're the defending back-to-back champions for whatever, another month or so. We're going to enjoy that while we can. But, now we're so far away. We're 3 whole years away from that championship, which I know I'm being sarcastic. It's not that far. But it is a little bit less fresh, and it does, feel a little bit more like, okay, Georgia's trying to get back and win championships and stuff. And when that pursuit just falls short way sooner than you expect, it's tough as a fan.
For sure. I mean, I'm not going to call myself one of the old heads, because it gets much older than me in the Georgia fan base, but it is crazy to think about the heartbreak of a third straight season now without a national championship. It's like that's nothing. 3 straight years without a championship. Georgia went 41 years without a championship, but things seem different now. And yeah, it's just the surprise, especially you go to 2023, you were just surprised because you forgot what a loss felt like, because it had been like 30 games since they had lost a game at all to that point. But yeah, it's just shout out to Ole Miss for I feel like it's always tough when, like, after these games of like, oh, they were the better team or something like that. It's like, I don't necessarily think Ole Miss was a better team. I don't think Ole Miss was a better team on the year than Georgia was. But it's like on January 1st, whatever day of the week that was. I started to say Saturday, but on January 1st, Ole Miss was the better team. Like, they made more plays consistently. Georgia made mistakes, self-inflicted. Like I talked about that 4th down that Georgia went for, where I was like, we were kind of desperate at that time. I could see it. But even though we were desperate, it's still, Kirby Smart did not want to go for that on 4th down. That was a miss execution right there. So it's just different plays like that, that just Georgia just didn't make the plays to win the game. And it's not like Ole Miss was flawless. Like, they dropped some passes on their own right too. But at the end of the day, Georgia didn't make enough plays to win. It's not one of those games in terms of like a tough like loss to swallow. it was much easier for me to swallow this one than the Alabama one earlier in the year because I felt like Alabama wasn't actually better in that game than Georgia was. So it was kind of like, what? How did they lose this game? It was a very weird. Like, how Ole Miss won this game. It was because their quarterback was just making plays out there. So it is what it is. It sucks, but yeah. Where would you rank this on just kind of toughest losses in your young Georgia fandom?
Oh man, I mean, if I'm taking my like childhood out of it, by which I mean like when you're 10 years old, you're always more pissed after a loss than when you're not 10 years old.
Of course.
I mean, definitely
those feelings of a 10, 12-year-old, they definitely know. So those definitely hit.
I was like, I was 9 years old when Georgia lost to Bama in the SEC title game with the Chris Conley play.
2012, okay.
That's probably the worst one because I was like 9 and it was just horrifying. But if I'm not judging off of that, I would have to say between this one and the 2023 loss to Alabama in the SEC title game, I really can't pick. And it's for the same reasons. It's because it's just Georgia had a championship caliber team that I really thought was poised to make a big run in the playoff, and they just went out there and lost before they really even had a chance to go on one. And the 2023 team losing to Bama was probably worse because it was a better team than this year's team. Losing to, I don't know if 2023 Bama is better or worse than 2025 Ole Miss. I'm not really interested in that. They're probably a little bit better of a team.
I might take Ole Miss.
Man, I don't know. They're right up there for me. I think it's 1A, 1B in terms of the worst loss that I've seen, just because this looked like a team that was going to be poised to dominate and was doing all the right things at the right time, and they lost. So I would have it right behind that Bama game probably. I probably wouldn't. I don't want to go recency bias and put it ahead of it, so I won't. I'll stop short of that, but I would have it at 2.
Yeah, I guess worst loss is has a lot of different ways you can go with it because I feel like I was much more like dejected after that Notre Dame Sugar Bowl loss a year ago because Georgia didn't even show up. It was just a terrible performance. Like Georgia did, show up in this one and like they played well at times. Like obviously we're winning at halftime and everything. So it was, it's just kind of weird. Like that Alabama game, probably 2023 you're talking about. It's like, it felt like that team never got going in that game. It was like, I don't know. It's like they had, cement shoes or something. Like it was very weird. And then by the time they kind of started to get momentum late in the game, that was the Dylan Bell, Carson Beck exchange fumble. It was just a weird game. Like this one was just, I don't know. It's one of those games like once Trinidad Chambliss started making some of those improv plays, you kind of just knew like, this isn't the kind of game Georgia wins. Like when a quarterback's making plays like this, you just like, you kind of have to tip your cap or whatever. Yeah, I can't, in terms of just kind of heartbreaking losses, like obviously the games that mean something, are the heartbreak is much deeper, like the Tennessee Hail Mary. It's like, yeah, in terms of games you thought you were going to win, it was one of the more dramatic wins you could ever remember for a Georgia team, like the Jacob Eason to Riley Ridley with like 10 seconds left. Like that would have been one of the all-time great wins. And then it's followed by a Hail Mary. So that was definitely shocking, but it's like that heartbreak doesn't even rank when it comes to like actually championship team. Yeah, exactly. On a season that finished 8-5, like it wasn't all that. It's same with Jordan Hare, the prayer at Jordan Hare in 2013. It's like one of the more angrier I've ever been at losing a game, but
that's the most ridiculous one ever.
It really is. And for the Hail Mary to happen just a couple years later too, you're just like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was another season, 2013. That was another 8-5, I want to say.
Yeah. That was the year that literally everyone got hurt on the offense.
Yeah, everyone. So just a weird year, but yeah, I think in terms of meaningful losses, it's funny that neither of us have mentioned the 2017 national championship, like a national championship game that you lost on a walk-off. I think the only national championship that ever ended in a walk-off was that. Yeah, because that I want to say there was like 1 second left on that. What's his name? Renfro, when Renfro caught that touchdown against Alabama. But yeah, walk off in the national championship. I can't remember. There may have been some other field goals to win it, but yeah, and it was just like because of the context of just Georgia, like this is year 2 of Kirby Smart. We're just getting started. Like we weren't heartbroken for that one, but still, I was still heartbroken. Seeing Nick Chubb, Michelle over there.
I was 14 years old after that happened. I was heartbroken, crestfallen in my house. But there was also that feeling in the air of like, okay, well, we're not going anywhere. We're ahead of schedule. It's year 2. Like I even understood that at the time. But this year doesn't feel like that. This year, the expectation was to make it to a national championship, and they didn't win a playoff game.
Well, and that's kind of the interesting part. And we'll revisit this. Actually, this will be kind of our main topic, but it's in terms of kind of what this season was and like what the expectations were coming in. It's kind of interesting how to evaluate this team because I'm not sure everyone thought this team was going to go 12-1 and win the SEC, you know? So it's like they surpassed expectations to a point and then also underdelivered. So, but we'll get into that later when we kind of address that, our final thoughts on the 2025 season. But we got Sanjay here in the live chat. After losing Branch, getting Coleman would help. And that's a great segue into where we were going to go, Sanjay, because Georgia has had some NFL draft declarations. Zachariah Branch, I would say, leads the way on that one. So shout out to Zachariah Branch. Like I said, already gave him his flowers, I think, on our post-game show because this dude just came in and was just everything that was advertised and more. But you got Zachariah Branch, CJ Allen. I saw Christian Miller and Oscar Delp listed as well. I don't know if maybe they have like a 5th year if they wanted to or something and they're just going pro, but yeah, I expected those 2 guys are seniors. I expected them to go pro, but yeah, Zachariah Branch, CJ Allen, not surprising. I think those are the 2 really only first round candidates, I would say, from this team, other than maybe Monroe Freeling, who still has a decision to make. Ernest Green still has a decision to make. I don't think there's many other ones out there for Georgia that you're wondering whether or not they're going to go pro.
Yeah, those are probably the 2 big ones, the tackles, Freeling and Green. I think like Aguero has a decision to make, but Aguero's not going to go pro. So
yeah, I don't think Aguero has a decision to make.
Yeah, I mean,
with all due respect,
it'll be those 2 guys most likely. Yeah, man, I would hope. I mean, it would be tough for Georgia to have to replace their top 2 starting tackles. There does seem to be a bit of a succession plan there in place with, Hughley and Calhoun and what have you. There's plenty of depth on the offensive line long term where I feel like they'll be okay next year. But losing Branch really stings, man. I mean, we saw what a crazy, I want it like Band-Aid almost he was to the offense. I mean, he was really just instant offense, just add water. The amount of times they were just able to fire him the ball on a tunnel screen or on a bubble screen, and he could just make a guy miss and take it for 20 yards. Like, that's rare, man. I mean, we saw in the Ole Miss game, there were even some yards that he could have had that were left on the table. I mean, he is just an electric, dynamic player. He was a huge coup for Georgia to get in this offseason. He almost – because Noah Thomas didn't really end up making the impact that we all kind of thought he would make, I would say Zachariah Branch almost single-handedly fixed Georgia's receiver room. And that is no small feat given how bad it was the year before, given how really the whole offense kind of ended up being sank by the fact that Beck and the receivers were just never on the same page and they had all the drop passes and everything. So Branch, probably one of the most impactful players we've ever seen transfer to Georgia. Definitely one of the most memorable one-and-done years that a Georgia Bulldog has ever had, I think. And we're going to miss him, man. He's a damn good dog. He's a Georgia legend. I really thought his story as a Bulldog was going to be a couple games longer than it wound up being. But yeah, salute to Zachariah Branch. Good luck in the draft, brother. And he will be not a guy that you can replace with just one player. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's not an exaggeration that he single-handedly saved Georgia's receiving core, because he had 54 more catches than Georgia's second leading receiver. I don't know if you heard that on the broadcast, that I think that was like the second highest differential from leading receiver to second leading receiver in all of college football. But yeah, 81 catches on the year. Dylan Bell with 27, second on the team.
Insane.
And Colby Young third with 26. That's one of the more bigger indictments on Georgia's receiving core, that Colby Young was the third leading receiver after missing 8 games. I'm not sure how many games, but yeah. So they were never really able to replace Colby Young. I feel like Noah Thomas stepped up, but London Humphreys was obviously really solid for Georgia this year. But yeah, I mean, most of these guys, with the exception of Colby Young for another 2/3 of last year. I guess he missed about the same amount of time both seasons. But it's like he was kind of the new addition from what they were ultimately a year ago. So, but yeah, it was definitely an upgrade from last year. And Zachariah Branch was the number one reason for that. Where do you think Zachariah Branch is the Georgia's greatest transfer of all time? I'm putting you on the spot here. I have a list, but I'll let you go off the top of your head.
Greatest transfer of all time, man. I would say of the portal era, he is probably their most impactful addition. So I guess
the portal era.
I guess I'm saying yes, because I mean, who did they get before the portal era?
There's only one guy I can think of that's better ever. I mean, maybe I was trying to go back. I don't know if Robert Edwards is a transfer. I want to say Terrell Davis may have been a transfer or something, like a JUCO guy. But also Terrell Davis wasn't probably didn't have as good numbers in Georgia as Zachariah Branch did.
Stetson Bennett is technically a transfer, but we're not going to.
Oh, you stole my thunder. I was actually going to end with him. Yeah, he might be the greatest transfer of all time, but because he is technically a transfer. We'll leave Stetson out of it. Go more the traditional route. Jarvis Jones is the only one I can that I can think of as better than Stetson from USC, Carver High School. Then I had Darion Kendrick. Was a pretty good one from Clemson for the national championship team. Tyke Smith, a very solid 2023 season after a couple injuries. Lawrence Cager might make the list, and then you gotta go back. You got a little bit of a drop off, maybe like a Dom Lovett or something. Okay. After that,
you could go to Ben Watson.
Was Ben Watson a transfer?
He played for Duke before he was at Georgia.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I did not know Ben Watson was a transfer. I knew Jermaine Wiggins was a transfer. He was on that first Patriots Super Bowl team because he was a Marshall guy that came to Georgia with Donnan. But I didn't realize Ben Watson.
Yeah, he was a productive player for Georgia. Probably a bit more known for his very long NFL career. But yeah,
all JUCO guys transfers?
I don't know. That's kind of. I mean, yeah. They're they might be their own. They might be their own subcategory, but it's still you're still transferring schools.
Yeah, I guess that would be a different list maybe than it is still a transfer because Stetson obviously is a JUCO transfer, and then you got Javon Wims, was he a JUCO transfer? I believe John Jenkins, back in the was that the Dream Team? I think years ago. I didn't realize he was starting for the Ravens till last night. I was watching that three starters say in Georgia on Sunday Night Football. Rooting for the Ravens, man. That was a bummer the way they lost that game. But yeah, no real quarterback success. The transfer portal for Georgia, other than Stetson, obviously. Yeah. But we got Grayson Lambert, Jamie Newman, JT Daniels. Your boys haven't had much success there.
Yeah, no. Georgia's got really weird quarterbacks, man. They always come from weird places. They always come with interesting backstories. It's never the hot shot golden boy that transfers in.
It doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be the hot shot golden boy out of high school either. Those guys seem to get surpassed on Georgia's depth chart, or something happens for whatever reason. But yeah, so I don't know who the next guy to transfer from USC to Georgia is, but make sure you note it, because Jarvis Jones and Zachariah Branch, those are the two best that Georgia's ever gotten out of the portal.
Yeah.
I guess we got
JT
Zion
Daniels.
still on the squad. What's that?
Yeah, JT Daniels too.
Oh shoot, JC Daniels. Yeah, that's 3 USC guys.
Yeah, Branch probably is. I mean, if not counting JUCO players and things like that, Branch probably is the most impactful like one season addition that Georgia's had. I guess Jarvis Jones would probably still be the answer across an entire career, and you could even argue the impact that Tyke Smith had or at playing star, or like Darion Kendrick that 1 year playing corner. Like those were really. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry to interrupt you. Finish your
thought. Oh yeah, I was just saying those were really impactful guys, but I don't think anybody transformed the team, fixed a weakness, and maybe even turned into a strength more than Branch did. I mean, what that guy did to transform Georgia's offense was pretty special. You don't see that
I think you're right. I think the closest you would have to do, which you can't even say he did that, is who I just remembered, is I left off Trevor Etienne. Etienne is definitely, probably ahead of someone like Cager or ahead of Lovett or something, but Georgia was still the worst run team in the SEC. Yeah, so it's not like he just gave Georgia a serviceable playmaker, but yeah, they were still struggling to run the ball last year. But man, that's a big what if, by the way. Like Tyrion Ingram Dawkins and Trevor Etienne were two guys that made pretty late decisions to go pro last year. Like I think those two were two guys that were supposedly trending towards coming back and then changed their mind at the last second. We know Trevor Etienne said he was, I think he even announced he was coming back until those two guys from Penn State announced they were coming back too. Like you think about what this team was missing this year. You had Trevor Etienne and Ingram Dawkins to this team.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have hurt at all.
Ingram Dawkins would have been really interesting. Etienne, like he was a good player, but I still kind of think Frazier and Bowens would have eventually kind of surpassed him this year. Maybe not surpassed him, but he would have been splitting time. But Ingram Dawkins, man, the complete lack of interior pressure that they were getting this year. Like Christian Miller was a good player, and he could rush the passer a little bit, but for the most part, until Elijah Griffin started to get a little bit more run in the second part of the year, Georgia wasn't getting much pressure from the interior. And Ingram Dawkins, he's an undersized guy, but he is a perfect role player for that. I mean, he's just undersized, has a crazy quick first step that he can just use to get around guys. And, I mean, man, if they could just get a guy like that in on passing downs, a guy that, just brings pressure from a spot you don't get pressure from a lot, like that really could have changed a lot of things.
Yeah, I think so. He was a guy. I feel like I don't know what he's done for Minnesota this year or anything. I'm obviously more of a college guy than pro guy, but yeah, he was one of those that I just feel like is gonna, I don't know, have a classic Georgia pro career of like, it's kind of understated and plays in the league for 10 years or something.
Crazy athlete, man.
Like I think Jarius Wynn was like undrafted and played for the Packers for a while. Just someone like that. I don't know. I could see Kedrick Golston. I could see Ingram Dawkins making an impact. But yeah, it's gonna take someone like Sanjay alluded to in the chat here. Cam Coleman is at the top of my wish list. I don't know what sort of bidding Georgia gets into. It seems like whenever it is a bidding war with anybody, those are the guys that Georgia doesn't get. So we'll see. I'm sure they opened up the bank to get Zachariah Branch a year ago. He's one of the top guys in the portal last year. So Cam Coleman, man, if Georgia could have a Cam Coleman out wide, that would make just a massive difference in this offense.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of Cam Coleman to LSU crystal ball stuff, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But yeah, Georgia losing Colby Young ostensibly this year, unless he like sues the NCAA and gets a waiver, which these days you can never count that out. Georgia's really going to be missing perimeter receivers this year. Next year, they're going to need an X receiver. They don't have a guy that I feel like right now you can point at and say that's the guy that's going to line up on the line of scrimmage. Obviously, CJ Wiley has his believers. I am one of them. I think Noah Thomas is out of eligibility. Even if he's not, I wouldn't count on him coming back and being like a transformative player for this offense, given how last year went. But yeah, they are going to need to add talent in the portal. It's going to have to look pretty similar to what they did with Zachariah Branch this last offseason, where you look at a guy, a 5-star talent from a 5-star program, and you go after him. You throw everything after him. I've got no doubt that they're doing that with Coleman and a lot of the other guys that have entered the portal. I think that's like 30% of college football players are in the transfer portal right now. There's that guy for Michigan State. I forget his name. But yeah, they're going to – I mean, like that's where it's going to have to come from, because there's all the guys on Georgia's roster now I feel like are either defined role players to where like we know what they are, or they're so young to where you're just asking for a leap from them that I feel like is unreasonable to expect. It's not like you can't – I wouldn't go into the season being like, well, CJ Wiley, I expect him to develop into a 50-catch, 700-yard, 6-touchdown guy. Like, no, that's not how it works. When there's no sample size to go off of and cite, those things that could happen. It would just be a pleasant surprise more than anything else.
And that is why you recruit to this level. Like CJ Wiley and Talon Taylor, like those are going to be guys that take a big step as sophomores. Yeah. But in this day and age in college football, like you don't want to go in with those guys being the most proven receivers on your team. Like who, because you're losing to Dylan Bell. Yeah, obviously Noah Thomas too, but Dylan Bell, Zachariah Branch, and why am I blanking on the other guy we were just talking about?
Humphreys?
Colby Young.
Oh yeah, Young.
And then obviously Oscar Delp as well. So the tight ends will be fine. Georgia recruits tight ends amazing. With all due respect to Oscar Delp, because I think he is a big loss, but yeah, that receiver group is going to look really different. I think those probably are two of the bigger candidates for what you're talking about, and Talon Taylor and CJ Wiley, because like London Humphrey, you kind of know what he is, just a solid receiver. So I would expect them to get at least one, maybe even multiple guys out of the portal at receiver, because you got to have impact players right now on a team that's, it's pretty loaded with just about everything else too. Like I don't think George is going to have a lot of targets in the portal. Like obviously people have all their opinions about Gunnar Stockton and what his upside is and stuff like that. It's like Georgia's not going to get another starting quarterback next year. Like Gunnar Stockton is the guy. Maybe he takes that next step. Maybe he doesn't, and he holds Georgia back. Who knows? But I think Gunnar Stockton is a good quarterback. I think he fits what Georgia wants to do. They're just going to need to make sure we got better pieces around him. Like if you got Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens back, like I don't know, is that good enough? Like you felt the need to go get McCray this past offseason, and it suffice it to say he was not what you expected to be in terms of impact out of the portal. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them get multiple guys out of the portal. I don't know the names as of right now in terms of who the targets are. Do you know any targets, any guys we should be watching out for that Georgia sign in the portal?
Not really. I don't have a bunch, just because the last few days I've just been trying to make sense of the loss to Ole Miss. But I mean, there's golly, there's so many options. I mean, every time I look up my phone, there's
and obviously the biggest one, while you maybe look that up, Khalil Barnes from Clemson is already committed to Georgia, so that's massive. Athens, Georgia native, I believe. So yeah, that's going to be huge. That was definitely one of the bigger spots that we would have circled for what this team needs to improve on in 2026 is that other safety spot. So to see them get that cleared up in day 1, day 2 of the portal is pretty solid.
Yeah, especially because their safety play last year just wasn't great at all. And now there's reason to pause a little bit because they went out and got 3 guys in the portal last year to play safety between Maddox, Harris, and Branch. And Harris is back in the portal right now as we speak.
Yeah.
None of those 3 guys ended up making an impact, but also none of those 3 guys were like 3-year starters at Clemson. I mean, exactly. Khalil Barnes, I remember Khalil Barnes. Do you remember how good he was his freshman year? Like he came right on the scene and like had multiple turnovers, he had probably 50 tackles, multiple picks, multiple forced fumbles. Like he was just making plays all over the field. And that's what Georgia needs, man. I think they just need a playmaker at the safety position. They just need a ball hawk because KJ Bolden didn't take the leap as a sophomore this year than I thought a lot of people kind of thought he would. I'm not out on him long term or anything, but I do think that he's not a player that you can look at right now and be like, oh, we're good at safety. You know, we have KJ Bolden. He's this all SEC guy. Like, I don't know. I still think KJ Bolden will end up being that player. I think his junior year is going to be a very good one, but you do want to go out there and get another guy because last year when Bolden his play was kind of slipping a little bit towards the middle of the regular season. Once Kyron Jones went down, Georgia's safety play was like pretty bad. It just wasn't good. It was arguably, as much as we make of the pass rush, that's a more impact position. They were probably worse at the safety position than they were rushing the passer, which is saying something. So, yeah, go out and get Khalil Barnes, North Oconee kid, Athens native, grew up a Bulldog fan. I saw when he committed to Georgia, he changed his profile picture on Twitter to like a picture of him as a little kid wearing a Georgia shirt. So, you know, that's always good for the fan base to see. We always like stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm excited about Khalil Barnes, man. I think he's going to be a pretty impact addition. We've seen guys join this Georgia secondary from the portal before and be impact guys. I know that the recent trio of safeties this year was not that, but, you know, we were talking about the Tyke Smiths and the Darian Kendricks of the world just earlier, and I think he has a chance to absolutely come in and be a kind of guy like that for this defense next year.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's completely different than those other examples. Like especially a guy like Maddox coming from UAB and Jaden Harris, not like a proven starter or anything like that. You were taking some gambles. Zion Branch, not even like a proven starter. You were taking some gambles with just hoping one of those guys was better than what you had, I think, this past year. Yeah. And it was
not that.
No disrespect to Ja'Cory Thomas, but you know he wasn't. I guess and Ja'Cory Thomas wasn't even the best that Georgia had.
He was the best safety on the team last year.
Well, no, I would say Kyron Jones. You know, he was really playing well. So like he kind of took Ja'Cory Thomas's spot there, kind of midway through the season, but yeah, no, that's fair. I think KJ Bolden, honestly, I felt like he made more plays in that Ole Miss game than I really remember him making all season. Like he just felt like he was in on like so many plays. Like I don't know. I actually mentioned this while I was watching the game. I feel like we're just holding KJ Bolden to the Malachi Starks standard. It's like, well, he's doing the Malachi Starks thing. Came in, played as a freshman. Now he should be an All-American, right? It's like that's a reasonable expectation. He was a 5-star safety, similar ranking coming out of high school, but yeah, it might just be a little unrealistic to hold him with a Malachi Starks standard. But that doesn't mean dude is not still a baller and he's not going to be one of the better safeties in college football next year.
Yeah, I really think so too. I think also having the press and the hype kind of off his back will be good for him. You know, a lot of the times a player has a good freshman year, they get hyped up as all hell going into their sophomore year, and then they slump a little bit. Then, you know, it's a little bit quieter going into that junior year, and that's when you really break out. I think that's what can happen with a guy like KJ Bolden. I mean, a guy with that size, that explosiveness, clearly, I mean, he's a sponge and works his tail off. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been playing as a true freshman. Seems like a pretty smart player. I mean, it wasn't the year for him that I think a lot of people thought it was going to be, but like long-term, KJ Bolden, he might not become a program legend the same way that Malachi Starks did after his first 2 years in Athens, but I have no doubt that he's going to be a very good player and he's going to play in the NFL for a while. But it is good for Khalil Barnes.
Yeah, I'm with you. So yeah, getting Khalil Barnes is big there. Also, I want to touch on the other guy because we talked a lot about Zachariah Branch, but CJ Allen, 3 and done inside linebacker. I think I was not nearly as high on CJ Allen coming into 2025. I felt like he was getting a lot of benefit of the doubt for being Georgia's most proven inside linebacker. But I think the preseason predictions proved why he got that, or I guess his play on the field proved why he got those preseason predictions. Like he was a lot better than I think he was in 2024. Like I feel like CJ Allen took his game to the next level. Like to the point where I'd be kind of surprised if he wasn't a first round pick at this point. I guess I don't know what he's going to run 40 wise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
The only way that I don't think he would is just because he plays a position that is typically not drafted all that highly at off-ball linebacker. I mean, like you've got to be almost you've got to be like a Roquan to like be like a bona fide first round pick. CJ Allen's very good. He's not quite Roquan, I think, but yeah, I mean, like one of the best run defenders in the SEC, essentially since he stepped foot on campus. I mean, CJ Allen he got pressed into playing time as a freshman after the Jamon Dumas-Johnson injury, and he looked like a dude right away. And they just kept putting more and more on his plate until his junior year. He's pretty much the quarterback of the defense. I mean, guy was just everywhere in the second level of the field, just constantly fitting runs and plugging them in. I mean, he did a great job, man. By all accounts, he's one of the best on and off the field leaders in the entire program. Did get picked on a little bit in pass coverage. I mean, you can kind of yank him across the field with play action if you want to, and Ole Miss certainly did that both times that they played. But sometimes your off-ball linebacker gets picked on in coverage. That's fine. And when they're as good as a run defender as C.J. Allen is, and you know when you can deploy them as a pass rusher the way that they were able to do that with Allen on some well-designed blitzes, I mean, he was just a hell of a player, man. He was the heart and soul of the defense, and again, that's just another guy that's going to be tough to replace in terms of everything that he means to the program and to the defense. Now, Georgia is a linebacker university, and there does seem to be a bit more of a plan in place there with Justin Williams than there is with Zachariah Branch in terms of guys who can come in and replace him. But yeah, absolutely. CJ Allen, a damn good dog. Probably one of the best Bulldogs of this post back-to-back championships era, if you ask me, starting in 2023. And he will be missed.
Where do you rank CJ Allen? I think we both would rank him behind Roquan Smith. I think we would both rank him behind Nakobe Dean. As far as Georgia Bulldogs careers, would we both rank him behind Quay Walker? Taking CJ Allen or Quay Walker?
I mean, Walker got one championship. Allen didn't have any.
We're just talking your field of defense with Georgia football players, you know, and you need to take the best. You need to field your best inside linebacker group. You taking Quay Walker, you taking CJ Allen.
Very similar players. I'll go with Allen.
Oh, would you?
I'll go with Allen.
I think I'm still taking Quay Walker with that. I think he had a better career, like in terms of, you know, 3-year contributor and everything. But you taking CJ Allen over Smile Munden?
No.
Okay. Oh, so you're taking Smile Munden over Quay Walker.
Okay. Smile Munden is frustrating to me because I think he'd be much further up on that list if he hadn't gotten injured during 2024.
Yeah.
Because he really was just going stupid that year. But like, dude, Munden came in as what? Was he a sophomore in 2022 or was he
I believe that was his second year, 2022. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, what he did the first year he became a full-time starter, just immediately came in, led the defensive tackles, and was just all over the field for a national title team. I love Small Munden. He'll always be one of my favorite Bulldogs. He was just a dirt bag defending the run. I mean, he would just throw stuff out. Like he was like a train inspector trying to like clear the aisle out almost. I mean, that's just kind of what it felt like. And Allen is a lot like that too, but Munden I think was a little bit better in coverage. So I'll probably go with him as a player overall.
Yeah, I think Smile Munden was just a better like raw athlete. He kind of reminded me of Alec Ogletree a little bit, not necessarily that level of athlete of Ogletree, but kind of that build, just like the longer. That's kind of why Quay Walker, I would put him up there too. You taking CJ Allen over Jamon Dumas-Johnson?
Yeah,
I would agree there. What about Monty Rice?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just thinking of the best inside linebackers of the Kirby Smart. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, first team All-American, Buck Kiss finalist in what, 2022?
Kentucky Wildcat legend.
But he did end up at Kentucky, so that hurts his.
Allen ran out of town. Like Allen's a tough guy to compare him to because the reason he
That's fair.
transferred
He
was
literally,
yeah.
he was taking too many of his reps there. I guess the only other one I can even think of is what, Tay Crowder.
Yeah, who was a beast, by the way.
Yeah, Tay Crowder, the converted running back. He was very very solid career, underrated career. Yeah, I think that basically names all of like the inside linebackers since
like 2013, yeah.
Since like 2018.
Ray
Yeah, because Reggie, he was a defensive lineman. Reggie Carter, I think.
Yeah.
Who got starts next to Roquan? I think it was like two different guys started next to Roquan.
Like
Reggie Carter.
Reggie Carter.
That's probably Crowder.
Natrez Patrick did.
Natrez Patrick. Oh, that's a good call. Yeah, I'd probably rank him ahead of someone like Reggie Carter. Maybe better than someone like Monty Rice, actually. He played in the NFL for a little bit. Monty Rice always felt like he's underrated. I always feel like CJ Allen, maybe was the number. He reminded me more of Monty Rice, like after his first year starting. And then he kind of, I don't know, 33 versus 32. But I think CJ Allen, he took, I don't know, he definitely looked like Odell Thurman. I guess that's just the number 33 back in the day. But kind of built kind of squattier like that. But yeah, great career for CJ Allen. He's a damn good dog, without a doubt.
Yep.
As much as he'll be missed, I think Georgia feels good about that inside linebacker room moving forward.
I do too. I wonder if the lack of Justin Williams that we've been seeing throughout his young career, first of all, he's a young guy, so that's the number one reason why. But also, I wonder if we haven't seen him as much as we've seen Cole, just because they felt so good about leaving Allen out there, or it was because maybe he hasn't been coming as far along as they wanted to. But either way, I think Justin Williams is the clear plan there as the guy to step into that role, along with maybe some more off-ball stuff by Chris Cole. Although I think Chris Cole is going to be used as more of a Sam linebacker going forward than a Mike. But yeah, I mean, they've got a ridiculous 8-star high school recruit coming in as a junior to replace him. So expecting a pretty big.
Wait, who are you talking about?
Williams. He was the number one linebacker recruit.
Oh, okay. Hey, you're sleeping on Raylan Wilson over there? I haven't heard Raylan Wilson going pro already.
Wilson's already played though. I mean, Wilson is the weak side linebacker. Like his role is not going to change.
No, that's true. But I think Raylan Wilson. I haven't heard anything about him going pro. I would assume he's coming.
I think he's coming back.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
he's a good player, man.
He's one that I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he's more than like a third or fourth rounder. So it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe he gets in, destroys the combine, and changes people's minds. But I don't know. I think if he comes back, he feels like the guy he'll be for preseason first team All SEC and be the kind of leader of the defense and things like that. But yeah, I feel really good about Raylan Wilson. He's another guy who I think took a big step in 2024, or in 2025. So I'm excited about him next year.
Yeah, me too, man. I mean, I think another year of him in this defense, he'll be a senior. I mean, that should be pretty big time. He was really making plays last year. I thought he was just super disruptive in the run game. It felt like he had a lot of just thud plays, a lot of plays where Raylan Wilson would just deny the play at the line of scrimmage and knock it back for a yard loss or two. I mean, I guess I get like your weak side linebacker, I guess, is the one that's going to have all some of the splash plays like that. And Raylan Wilson does a really good job, man. He's a crazy athlete. He is very fun to watch play football. Just plays like a madman. Runs like he's a missile.
For sure. And we got all off season to talk about how we replace CJ Allen inside linebacker. But the other transfer portal losses, just to go through them at this point, Roderick Robinson, Jordan Thomas, Nair Daniels, Daniel Harris, Jaden Harris, Chris Jones, and then Pierce Spurlin, I guess you count.
Yeah.
I guess he is playing football again.
Yeah.
So he's back in the portal. But yeah, any of those guys stand out to you as far as Georgia losing anybody?
Let me try. I guess the biggest loss out of those names would be Daniel Harris, because that's the one who actually played. Now, Of course, Daniel Harris, got his spot taken in the middle of the season, which is why he hit the portal. But that was a guy who, I mean, it was not long ago, man, that I thought Daniel Harris was going to be like the superstar out of this secondary. I just really thought he looked the part, thought he had the perfect size, perfect length. He was just seemed like he was always with his guy in coverage, like he was always in that hip pocket. And I feel like things were never really the same for him after he got arrested for reckless driving right before the Kentucky game last September. From then on, man, I feel like Daniel Harris's Georgia career just kind of never had the momentum that it once had. But I wouldn't. I would keep an eye on him because he's got the body type of an NFL boundary corner, and I don't think that we've seen the last of Daniel Harris's football career.
Yeah, as Mark Jackson would say, he has the limp and the strength. But yeah, he had that one big play against Florida, right, where they called targeting and then they overturned it, but where he just rocked the dude last year. But yeah, Daniel Harris was disappointing. He's huge for a corner. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns up somewhere. But I would say Jordan Thomas from this group obviously hadn't played much, but just this defensive line wasn't great this year. So even losing depth at that position, a young guy, like who knows? That might be something to watch for.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, that's we saw. I mean, the biggest thing that you could point at before the season started this year with this Georgia team was the defensive line depth is a little concerning. It's a little suspect. There's a lot of young guys there. So anytime you lose a guy at this point, like that has been with the program for a year, 2 years, I mean, like that really hurts because nowadays with how much college football has just been about, these mercenary transfers and everything, like you've got to have guys that know the system. You can't teach your entire defense the defense unless your name is Kurt Signetti, I guess, and your whole team can just be transfers and you make the natty or whatever, or make the semifinal. So yeah, that's definitely a position to watch. I'm not sure how much of a path Jordan Thomas ever really had to serious playing time at Georgia. I guess not much, which is why he hit the portal. But yeah, I'm with you in that. It's just that is a position where anytime you lose depth along the lines of scrimmage, it is a bad thing. It is probably the number one position you need to have depth at, arguably. So, yeah, definitely going to be something to watch out for. And I really hope Georgia has more of a plan this year to go after its pass rush specifically, because last year they lost Jalen Walker and Michael Williams to the draft, and then they had the surprising Damon Wilson transfer, and they kind of just didn't really address it much at all in the portal until they went out and got Elo Madozi at the end of April, which by that point, I mean, Elo Madozi didn't have a chance to come in and make an impact with that little time in the system and everything. I mean, he missed spring. Sure enough, he didn't. So I would like to see there be more of an aggressive approach from Georgia this offseason in terms of bolstering that defensive line.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's one thing I'm looking forward to is just some sort of more uniform rules and stuff around all this stuff in college football. Because I think once we do have like clear rules and portal deadlines and just roster retention stuff, like Kirby Smart and Georgia are going to be as good a position as anybody if given just a regular set of rules and understanding, okay, this is how you build a roster. Because I think that's why, we haven't really talked about any of the Damon Wilson lawsuit and stuff. I don't know what me and you really have to add to something like that. Obviously, like Damon Wilson, like countersuing Georgia or whatever. But I think that's where Georgia's kind of coming from. Is it's like we had a $300,000 edge rusher that was supposed to be on our 2025 roster, and we no longer have that $300,000 edge rusher. Once you leave, those are the damages. You look at our 2025 sack numbers; those are the damages. So it's if Georgia has a better understanding, or if everyone has a better understanding of just when the deadlines are and all of that, and when these classes are when your roster is gonna be full, all of that, I think Georgia's gonna be, turning over every leaf, every rock, whatever the expression is. Like they're gonna have the best way to build their roster. Like you saw safeties in need, boom, you get Khalil Barnes first day of the portal, right? Second day of the portal. Like I think Georgia's gonna be on top of that. I think that's why that Damon Wilson transfer a year ago is just so frustrating, and they were never really able to replace him.
Yeah, no, they really weren't. I mean, that was a season-defining loss, losing Damon Wilson. That was probably the only guy that you could point to on the bookends for Georgia and say that's a guy that we think can line up over a tackle and win, 15% of the time, or whatever the golden threshold it is, win rates to be an impact pass rusher. I mean, he was really the only guy they had like that, and you saw the panic addition of Madozie in the portal after he left. I think kind of confirms that how much they knew that they were going to be kind of screwed without him. And what was it? They had like 8 sacks in their first 10 games or something like that. I mean, it was crazy how bad the pass rush was, and it ultimately wound up derailing their season. I mean, as much as we thought that it had kind of turned a corner and come back over that second half of the year, you go to that Ole Miss game and the Sugar Bowl, they didn't lay a finger on Trinidad Chambliss. And as good as Chambliss played, I'm not taking anything away from him because that's one of the best games I've ever seen a college football quarterback ever play. But when you can't sack the other team's quarterback, and even when you're affecting him, he's just juking you out, running away and throwing it downfield, 40 yards down the field, like, you're not going to win. You're going to have a bad time. And that's what happened with Georgia a couple times this year.
You're going to have a bad time. Absolutely, sir. If you French fry and toast a pizza, you're going to have a bad time. Mm-hmm. And just thinking about what this defense was last season. Oh, shoot. I totally lost my train of thought where I was going with that. But I don't know. Anything else? Anything else from you on the – where was I going with that when we were talking?
We were just talking about the pass rush and the Damon Wilson transfer and how it affected the defense.
We were talking about that.
That's all I really had to say about Damon Wilson. I guess we'll see how this countersuit goes, because this is going to be a pretty precedent-setting thing, I feel like, for the sport going forward. This is probably not the first time or not the last time the school sues a player who's an outgoing transfer. Or maybe it is, and Georgia just looks like dicks, but I would probably say it's not. And what the courts decide to do with this is fascinating. I have a feeling they're not going to side with Georgia, but I don't know.
I would just think I would have a hard time thinking Georgia, a big time institution like Georgia, just like a big time brand like Georgia, would, like, they have to be aware of the PR hit that just how bad this looks, that you're suing a former player. That I would think if they're going to be opening this up, it's because they know they have legal standing for whatever they're, who knows? Maybe this is this is a brand new game, but because of just like the public opinion of like, don't go to Georgia, they'll sue you if you leave. Like, just because people can say a narrative like that, it seems like you should be very careful in what you're doing here. And I would assume a big time university like Georgia did do that, but I guess we'll see what the courts rule.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's even worth doing that, because you're right. Like, they wouldn't have done this had they not been advised by multiple people multiple times over that this did have legal standing and it wasn't just going to get laughed at and thrown out the first chance the courts got. But, like, it's really easy to go on the other side of that and say what you were saying. Like, don't go to Georgia. They'll just sue you if you leave. You can't really argue against that. They're the only school doing that. And that matters to recruits and to just people who are thinking about quality of life. How am I going to be treated here? Well, this doesn't set a great precedent. Even if Georgia, in their heart of hearts, fully believes that Damon Wilson screwed them over and everything, college football players are not going to care. They're always going to side with their fellow college football player over the institution, over the school. So I think Georgia's kind of fighting a losing battle with this lawsuit. And even if they're right, I think they're going to look kind of wrong.
Other than the fact that the powers at be in college football might be pulling for Georgia, because if Georgia wins, okay, we can clean some of this things up. Everything we're doing doesn't violate antitrust or something like that. Like, maybe college football as a whole is rooting for Georgia, and so like, there's an incentive to like, oh, that's what happened in the Georgia case. Well, that's how we're gonna do things. You know what I mean? So, who knows how it works out? But yeah, it's surprising they would even open this up, given kind of the PR potential of it. But I did remember what I was gonna say. It was, you remember everyone kind of had a certain vibe last year when you saw Arian Smith making catches at the Senior Bowl practice, and you were like, "What the fuck is Arian Smith just snagging on people now? Like, what is happening here?" I never really felt. Obviously, I felt some kind of way, but I was like, Arian Smith made plays for Georgia and made some big plays for Georgia. That Ohio State game, the Tennessee game, he made some plays.
He's a legend for that Ohio State touchdown alone.
Absolutely, because that's not just
ever thought he'd be a legend.
Because I think a lot of people like think that just being like a busted coverage. It's like that wasn't a busted coverage. Like that was a stop and go where he made the guy fall down. Like his speed is what made the guy slip. You know, obviously, dude fell down, but it wasn't like he just fell down in a vacuum. But with that said, we always have this certain feeling of guys that have better pro careers than they did Georgia careers. If Elo Mendoza has any sort of NFL career, I am going to be insanely hostile based on what we got out of pass rush this year. I will hold a grudge there with Elo Mendoza if he has a good NFL career.
That would be very annoying. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't hate Elo Mendoza, but I do see what you're saying. I would be like, man, what the hell? If he goes to the NFL and has like a 7 or 8 sack season or something like that. But
yeah,
to be fair to Elo, he was set up to fail completely. I mean, he joined the team in basically May, and
that could be true.
Like that is just an impossible time frame to cram and learn the language of the defense, learn the system, learn where you're supposed to be. Like all of that is just you need to be on that like in January. I mean, they say that about freshmen who don't enroll early is like, oh, they're behind. Like Nate Frazier didn't enroll early as a freshman. He's behind. It's a wonder that he ever played his freshman year. So like come in there and on April 30th or whatever day it was announced that Mendoza was coming to Georgia, like he was set up to fail, man. And there's no way that he was ever going to be like a great player for Georgia. So we appreciate his service. No pun intended.
That's fair.
And anything that we did get out of him, I think is kind of a minor miracle considering the timing. But yeah, if he goes on to have like a productive pro career, it would be a little bit like, what? Where did it come from?
Was it Trey McKitty? I think that had
what? That's exactly what happened with Trey McKitty.
Florida State transfer. He had like 2 catches. I think the 1 year he's at Georgia, and he was like a 3rd rounder, 4th rounder.
That was weird.
He was like the best performer at the Senior Bowl. It was like a whole weird thing, and he like hardly played at Georgia at all.
Yeah, there's probably a couple guys like that. We could do a whole segment on like Georgia guys. I mean.
Oh, what's his name? Last year got drafted, right? Urosic.
Yeah, exactly.
And he probably had single-digit catches, I would imagine, on the season.
The most extreme example of that of all time is probably Terrell Davis, who like was like a decent player at Georgia. I don't think he ever had like more than 800 yards in the season.
Yeah, I was gonna say he had less than that.
Like 2,000 yards twice.
Yeah, Terrell Davis was my guy, man. I was a Broncos fan growing up because of Terrell Davis. The Mile High Salute and all that. Wore 30 when I played football because of Terrell Davis.
Hell yeah.
Back in the day. But anything else? Are you looking up Terrell Davis' stats right now?
Yes, actually, I just did. His career high in 1993 for Georgia, he rushed for 824 yards on 167 carries. That was by far his most productive year in college. The year after that, he went 97 for 445.
Okay, yeah. Was he
6th round draft pick, Hall of Famer?
Was he a junior college guy, or was he like University of San Diego or something? Or that was a junior college?
He's from San Diego, born and raised, and then he went to Long Beach State.
Okay, so Long Beach State. That's the one. They have the good baseball school. Are they the Dirtbags or something? Is that what their mascot is?
But either way, man, I think that's one of the most random like Hall of Fame careers ever. Is like this guy is a running back from the University of Georgia who went on to have an NFL Hall of Fame career. So you would assume that at Georgia he was like a Heisman winner type of guy. He was like a Garrison Hurst or a Herschel Walker or a Todd Gurley, but he just wasn't. And he arguably had the best pro career that a Georgia running back ever had. So I think that's funny. That's my hour into the podcast. It's gonna be a long off season. It's January 5th, and we're already ruminating about Terrell Davis, man.
Terrell
If
Davis,
only the
yeah.
Bulldogs had won the Sugar Bowl, we wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, seriously. And I don't know if you've seen that stat. It's like Todd Gurley's still like top 5 in the NFL in touchdowns since like 2015 or something. He hasn't played in like 5 years. Yeah, he's God, Todd Gurley was so good for that. Also, deep cut for you. A lot of people sleep on the pro career of Herschel Walker. Have you seen the football numbers that the pro football numbers? What sucks is that early years are like some of the best years running backs ever have.
Yeah, and
he's got a couple 2,000-yard years in the USFL. But I think he had a year with the Cowboys, had like 1,600 yards and like 100 catches or something like that. Like
started the Cowboys dynasty by getting traded
too.
for a bunch of shit.
And he was returning kicks too. Like he was like up there on like the NFL kick return yards, I think, for a while. But yeah, he's like kind of treated like he was a bust because he was just like the greatest college player of all time. But he had like a sneaky good pro career. I don't feel like a lot of people get him credit for. We didn't get to my main question for tonight, but we'll get to that next week. But let's go rapid fire here. We got 2 college football playoff games on Thursday and Friday this week. Ole Miss, Miami, and Alabama, Indiana, Oregon. What are your thoughts, sir? I don't even have the spreads in front of me.
Man, they're still playing those. Yeah, my thoughts are, I mean, I'm grumpy now about football because the Lions and the Bulldogs seasons both ended way earlier than I was hoping they would end. And now I have to grapple with the fact that there's about to be no football for like 9 months, and I just have to live with that, grin and bear it. But I'm sure when those games kick off, I'll be having a good time again. Don't worry. I guess I'll start with the Miami Ole Miss game because that one is first, I believe. This is an interesting one because as sensational as Trinidad Chambliss is, and the fact that he's coming off the game of his life and everything, Miami's got a much better front seven than the Georgia Bulldogs, particularly front four edge rushing. I mean, they made Marcel Reed look like the worst quarterback of all time in the first round. And then they made Julian Sand have a terrible time too in the quarterfinal. So that's just a crazy defense, and I think it's going to make things a lot different for Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, he's just going to have to work a lot harder to hit those intermediate throws that he hits. He's probably not going to get away on 100% of scrambles like he did against Georgia. And it's probably going to be harder for them to get Lacey going. But with that being said, Ole Miss just kind of feels like a team of destiny right now, don't they? I mean, after that win against Georgia, I was so worried Chambliss was gonna just have a big decline. Well, not worried as a Georgia fan, but I was thinking Chambliss might have a big decline in his processing skills without Kiffin there to kind of give him the answer to the test. But he didn't really look like that at all, man. He looked like he was fully in control. He looked every bit like a guy who's been playing college football for like 4 years, even if it wasn't Ferris State. I mean, he looks pretty legit, man, and this Ole Miss team is so much fun to watch when they're not beating my beloved Georgia Bulldogs. So, yeah, I like both of these teams. I like both of these quarterbacks. I'm gonna be rooting for Carson as well, but I kind of think Ole Miss has just enough offensive firepower and just enough on defense to limit Tony and make things hard on Beck. I think they're going to get the win, man. I think they will.
Yeah, because Miami's defense might be better than Georgia's, but I don't think it's like significantly better than Georgia's. So like last year when Notre Dame beat Georgia, I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. I still don't think Notre Dame's any good. They beat a flawed Georgia team that was not at full strength. It's like, whatever. Like, I mean, call me a prisoner of the moment, but I feel like I'm just all in on Ole Miss now. Like the second best thing to an undefeated season is a 1-loss season where you beat the one team you lost to, right? So like it's a damn near perfect season. And like you look at like someone like they played Oklahoma, like someone with an absolute nasty defense, still put up 30 something. I think put up more on Oklahoma than anyone did this year. I think hot take for you is I think Ole Miss may have been better than Ohio State all season. Like they played a significantly better schedule, and their offense consistently showed up against good opponents. So like you look at the one game they lost this year, the offense scored 35. Like Ohio State scored what 14 and 10 in the two, or what 10 in both games that they lost this year, and then 14 against the other ranked team they played. Like, so I think Ole Miss's offense is just legit. I mean, as good as Miami's defense is, like Georgia was as good as it got in all of college football at stopping the run, and they weren't even able to stop Ole Miss's run. So I don't know. I can't pick against Ole Miss right now. So yeah, give me the Rebels as well. And Miami's a 3.5 point favorite, the 10 seed over the 6. That was a little surprising to me.
That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I could see Miami just running on Ole Miss and controlling the pace of the game that way, and then maybe that's how they win, because Ole Miss's run defense is a bit suspect. But I just don't know if I can pick against Chambliss right now, man. I mean, that's as hot of a hand as you can have as a football player is what he's on right now.
And I don't have the sorry.
Sorry. And I was just gonna say, like, Miami's offense has made the plays that it's needed to make between Tony and the running game. But I feel like it just comes so easy to Ole Miss right now.
Yeah. And Ole Miss just seems like a terrible matchup, because it seems like you get into a shootout. It's like, well, yeah, that's how they want to play. Let's get into a shootout. We got the most dynamic quarterback in the sport potentially. Okay, this is a grinded out game for 4 quarters. Well, they have probably the best running back of any of the 4 teams that are left in this field as well. Like maybe not the best O-line, but like Kewan Lacey is a workhorse. So I can't pick against Ole Miss right now. Personally. So man, seeing Ole Miss play for a national championship would be pretty wild, especially after Lane Kiffin.
After all this.
And then so we're both taking Ole Miss, and then on Friday we got Oregon and Indiana in a rematch. Indiana won this one in Eugene last time. Now they'll be playing. This is in Atlanta, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is in the Peach Bowl. Indiana's a 5.5 point favorite.
Whew. Yeah, this was one of the games of the year earlier in the regular season when these two teams went at it. I watched a lot of that game. It was really fun. I'll probably watch a condensed version of the game or something later this week to get me hyped for this game. But two really great quarterbacks, two teams that have obviously kind of rolled through the playoff up to this point. But I'm gonna go with the other team of destiny, man. I think I have to. After watching the just beating that Indiana put on Alabama, I mean, that was all sides of the coin. They just completely crushed them. I mean, up front, pass game, they dominated them all 3 phases. They won by like 40 points, did they not? I mean, what
was the final score?
Was it like 41-3 or 38-3?
I remember it was like 38-7 at one point, I think. 38-3. No, 38-3. That was the final score.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a complete shellacking, man. And Indiana has beaten everybody ahead of them up to this point, including Oregon. And I know it's tough to beat the same team twice. We just saw Georgia be unable to do it, but I'm rocking with Coach Sig, man. I gotta go with the Hoosiers.
I'm with you, man. Like I feel like I was definitely skeptical of Oregon coming into this playoff, and maybe it's just confirmation bias or whatever. And maybe I'm not giving them enough credit, because I feel like Texas Tech was definitely the weakest of the 4 teams that had the first round bye. Obviously, they were the 4 seed. It's like anyone with a pulse offensively, I think is playing a 4-quarter game with Oregon in that first round or in that second round matchup. Like, I don't want to take away the credit from Oregon's defense for how good they played, but like that Texas Tech offense just looked absolutely awful. Like, and I know they averaged like 42 a game, which I was shocked by, but that offense just looked terrible. The quarterback looked awful. So maybe I'm not giving Oregon enough credit, but I think anyone with a serviceable offense, like that's a 21-21 game in the fourth quarter or something probably. How many times did they get stopped on fourth down? Obviously, shout out to Texas Tech's defense. They at least did play well.
It really was one of the most dreadful offensive showings I've ever seen in a playoff game. I think maybe they had that like pick in the end zone towards the end of the game. That was the only time they ever even got the ball moving, and they threw a pick.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of the more uninspired, lifeless performances I've seen. So yeah, it's almost. I mean, like, yeah, Oregon's defense balled out. I mean, they played great. That one state, that corner had, I think, 2 interceptions. But yeah, it's just hard to like hype one side up too much when the other side just looks that lifeless and dead. So
yeah, it's like Oregon was going for on fourth down because they knew there was no consequences. It was like, maybe we don't get on fourth down. They're still not going to score on us, so whatever.
But to be fair, that's what we're saying about Indiana and Alabama too, is we're giving Indiana all the credit for that game. So we got to give Oregon some credit too.
That's true, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because we've seen Alabama have good offensive performances against a lot of teams this year. Obviously, they're coming off a game where they just got absolutely shut down by Georgia. Oh, I guess they're coming off a game versus Oklahoma where they, was a weird game also, I guess. Jekyll and Hyde kind of performance from their offense. But yeah, I think at this point, Indiana just looks like a buzzsaw. All that to say, they're getting matched up with Indiana, and Indiana just looks so damn good. So yeah, I'm thinking what DeBoer beat Lanning twice a couple years ago. Washington, Oregon, I think beat him in the rematch in the Pac-12 championship. Give me Coach Sig in Indiana to beat Oregon twice, and we get Indiana and Ole Miss in the national championship. Regardless of what matchup, I guess Miami and Oregon isn't like a crazy matchup from a brand's perspective. Regardless of the matchup we get in the college ball in the national championship, this is, I don't know, pretty unique matchup for the sport. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The fact that this is the Final Four is pretty crazy. It's one of the cooler things about the new era of college football is that it's not just the same old Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson as it always is. This is a hell of a Final Four, man. And as much as I wish the Bulldogs could be a part of it, it should be 2 fun games to watch. Hopefully. Man.
I am going to respectfully disagree with you, sir. Most of the time I'm with you here. I'll rail against the 1% here, but in college football, Georgia is the 1%, and I preferred when the rich just kept getting richer in college football, and we kept stacking these draft picks on top of draft picks. So yeah, it's a new world for the juggernauts to live in. But I, for one, preferred when Georgia was able to keep all this talent.
I'm just trying to be neutral, man.
No, I hear you. It's great to see more teams potentially win national championships. Maybe we get less coaching movement. Maybe Lane Kiffin is the last of these coaches we see bounce on his program because it's like, well, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Ole Miss, why'd you go to LSU? You want to win a national championship? Ole Miss looked like it was a pretty damn good spot to win one of those. So what is it? The Peter Griffin, like the mystery box? It could even be a boat. We've always wanted one of those. But yeah, so it's interesting. That's the most interesting storyline, I guess, other than Indiana, just this rags to riches rise they've had in 2 years is just maybe just dunking on Lane Kiffin if he leaves a program that then wins a national championship without him.
Yeah, especially if Lane's tenure at LSU is less than successful and doesn't meet expectations, he's going to look crazy. Like if Kiffin left Ole Miss and then Ole Miss immediately won a natty and then LSU like didn't really do anything and Kiffin got let go after 4 or 5 years, that would go down as probably the worst coaching decision of all time in terms of career move. So,
and I think a lot of people
are saying I'm rooting for it to happen, but it would be something.
Yeah, I think a lot of people might be rooting for that. Also, I mean, we talked about like the whole dynamic of why this move was different than the other ones. Like John Summerall is allowed to coach his team in the playoff. Like I don't even know the James Madison coach's name. It's like he's allowed to coach his team in the playoff, but Ole Miss didn't want their lame duck coach in the playoff. And I mean, they look right now if that's the case. But yeah, so the fact that was different from a rivalry perspective, like what does Ole Miss winning a national championship do to Lane Kiffin's seat in LSU? Like, how much is the dial turned up in LSU on like, okay, Ole Miss just won a damn national championship. We're not going to get beat by Ole Miss over here. Like, we're better than Ole Miss at LSU. So it's like, how many years do you get without a championship before that temperature gets turned up? Like, I don't know. Does Lane Kiffin have to win a championship in 2 years, 3 years?
I think he kind of does, dude. Especially because it's Kiffin. I mean, like, this LSU job is supposed to be like the pinnacle of his whole career.
Yeah.
Everything that he's learned, all the mistakes he's made in his wonderkind offensive genius hotshot coaching career. Like, this is supposed to be the version of Kiffin that has it, that has been wizened and grown up and learned how to run a program and how to manage things. And if he leaves, if he does that at Ole Miss and then leaves and they win a championship only for him to go somewhere and not be able to do that within the first couple of years, I mean, like if Ole Miss wins a championship, he's on the clock right now. Ole Miss wins a championship, Kiffin has 2 years to win one at LSU. I really think that. And if he doesn't even get close, it's going to look really weird.
Yeah, it really will. It'll be a very weird situation. It just like explaining that to like someone who doesn't know sports, just kind of explaining things to a child. It's like, so why'd you leave? Why'd you leave there? Oh, yeah. I won a championship here. It's like, oh, it seems like they won a championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably should have stayed there. Maybe they're winning it because he left. I don't know. Maybe Pete Golding's a better coach. We'll see. But
first team to win a national championship off of hate.
Yeah,
your hate.
Yeah, I guess so. But last thing I'll say is I know there's apparently Trinidad Chambliss is trying to get a 6th year or something. Dude does not need to get a 6th year. Dude needs to go pro because I would draft him over every quarterback coming out of college right now. That's where I'm going to end it right now. Yeah. Trinidad Chambliss should be the number 1 quarterback drafted in 2026. That's all I'll say, sir.
If he wants a 6th year, he can have a 6th year as a treat. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, I think
I mean, I don't know. Like, I haven't done a lot of homework in terms of him as an NFL prospect. I'm sure maybe there are some size concerns there and some in structure stuff that like maybe you don't think him playing in this RPO spread offense is going to translate to the NFL. But like Jackson Dart just had a pretty good rookie year. Jackson Dart looks at the very least promising for the New York Giants. Trinidad Chambliss as like a maybe non-first round pick version of Jackson Dart. Like, if you can, I don't know, man. Because I'm sure the thinking for him is I've had this crazy year, and now I'm in the playoff semifinal. If I have one full year as the established starter and we do it again, I'm gonna go like top 5. Because like I don't know, what do you think the odds are of like a Cardale Jones situation where
that's exactly.
See, he went the 4th round. He didn't go like day one.
But also he didn't strike while the iron was hot. He came back and then he got beat out. Like it was they had like JT Barrett, right? Was like the starter basically, and he played some, but like Cardale Jones should have gone pro. I remember saying that at the time. Like he should have gone pro right then with like 3 career starts under his belt. Like someone would have drafted that dude. Like
he probably would have got drafted higher if he did that.
Yeah, I mean he was like 6'5". Right. Like you saw 3 games of his career, and what did Ohio State average like 50 points a game in those 3 games? He was running through Alabama linebackers and shit. Like, yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna compare it to. Like I don't. Maybe we saw Carson Beck get like $5 million or something to go to Miami for a year. So if you're a borderline first rounder, it's probably better to just play another year in college. But I don't know, man. I think it was like his sophomore year or something. He missed time due to illness. He played in like 4 games, and they're trying to that's the year they're trying to that's the year they're trying to get. But like, I never saw Jackson Dart was good. I never saw Jackson Dart make any of the plays that Trinidad Chambliss is. Like he's making more Bo Nix type plays. Like Bo Nix did some of this magician stuff in college, but yeah, I don't know, man. Trinidad Chambliss, Like, with all due respect to Fernando Mendoza, I'm sure he's going to be the guy that blows. He's really prepared and blows the interviews away, and everyone just likes the cut of his jib, whatever the expression is. But yeah, it's like he'll do well, but he seems like a safe pick. But Trinidad Chambliss feels like the home run, like swing for the fences. Like, this dude, I don't know, he could be a game changer.
Yeah, I wonder. I just have no idea really like what his pro prospects are. But after watching that Georgia game and just the playmaking instinct that he put on tape,
Yeah,
like that is pretty rare. Now, I wouldn't get carried. Like the one thing about like a good creator out of structure is that you still have to have the footwork and you still have to have the arm strength to succeed at the NFL level. Like, you have to be able to just drop back and win from the pocket. You can't just be like a Johnny Manziel, Bryce Young type where it's like, I'm actually only good at scrambling and I can't be trusted to operate within the pocket. But Chambliss is a little bit bigger than both of those guys, and seems like he's got a fine arm, if not an elite one. So it'll be interesting to see. His draft stock will be, I'm sure, a very fun thing to debate this offseason, especially if Ole Miss winds up, winning it all. So I look forward to those discussions. That'll be fun.
Yeah, if they win the championship, and it's like, who knows if he has 10 total touchdowns in the next 2 games or something, how high his stock could actually get to. But yeah, it'll be interesting. This will be the end of the Trinidad Chambliss fan club hour. We're done giving this guy respect.
We love it.
The wound is still fresh, but yeah, 2025 in the books. It is 2026 now. I'm sure we'll still talk about the 2025 season, a whole bunch this offseason and everything. But that's all I got, sir. Anything else from you?
No. Should have not thrown an incomplete pass on that 3rd and goal.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. That second and goal from the 3-yard line, Georgia can still be alive. I think the other thing, and this is just brand bias, seeing the 4 teams that are left, or like the other 3 teams along with Ole Miss that are left, it just feels like, man, Georgia missed a golden opportunity. You don't have to go through Ohio State and Alabama juggernaut seasons or anything like that. Obviously, someone just blew the doors off of Alabama that's still in it, but there's not really that juggernaut. Maybe I'm disrespecting Indiana, but yeah, it's disappointing from that perspective for sure.
It gets worse the more I think about it.
I'm with you, man. But Kirby Smart and Georgia fans still have 2 national championships to fall back on. We're doing a lot better than most out there, folks. Don't forget that. Georgia still won 12 games this year. I think I was looking at, I think they won 12 games like once, maybe I think twice in all of Mark Richt's tenure, who was a damn good coach in his own right. And I think Kirby's won 12 games like 8 times already or something. It's just absurd, the difference. Should have those stats. I'm just ballparking those stats off the top of the head. But yeah, we're still doing real well. No one's crying for Georgia. And maybe we just get a jump start on the transfer portal and retooling this roster for 2026. Because this Georgia team is not going anywhere. They're still going to be preseason top 5 with hopes to win a national championship again next year.
Yeah, they're young, man. They're bringing back a lot of guys, and as much as the end of this year is disappointing, I mean, you've got to run it back, retool in the portal, fill in some of the holes on the roster, and hope you can make it back, man. That's all you can do.
Absolutely. But appreciate everyone who's tuned in live, who's watching the show. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. We appreciate our sponsor, FanDuel, and all that good stuff. And we will be back next Monday at 7:00. So until next time, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.